Sure. Everybody, let me kick this off. Welcome, everybody, to the first episode of the Crossover Podcast. It is revamped from what it used to be, but more importantly, it's back, it's better, and I got my constant co-host here, Mr. 23 Tar Heels 50, but as I know him as Paul. How you doing, Paul?
Good, how are you? Just
Uh,
living.
Is it raining where you are?
No.
No, it's shitty here. Like, it is bad. It is raining for like the last 2 days now, and it's going to continue into the evening tomorrow. So it's bad.
That's kind of lucky though. I love the rain.
Yeah.
Gives me an excuse to stay inside.
I would like that if we weren't going to a party tonight. One of
Ooh.
our best couple friend, her birthday is today, or tomorrow, I think. So
I
we're
see.
doing that tonight. We got to go out.
That is tough.
But welcome, everybody. This is going to be a podcast as I would depict it as two LCS fans begin their journey into Vietnam and the VCS. I made a promise about a year ago, I'd say, that when NRG or Optic got back in the league, regardless of the league that it was in, that I would follow them because I enjoy the org, I enjoy the players and everything else. Paul doesn't know as much about NRG. He's more the TSM fanboy, but I've convinced him to go down this journey with me as we learn about the VCS, as we learn about some of the players, and we just watch the matches consistently. So this podcast will primarily be, the first segment will be Vietnam almost every week, unless there's something else that like really takes precedence. Like if it's Worlds, obviously, then that just kind of is what it is. But we'll also cover the LCS, the LEC, and cross over into different regions because we've both been following League for years now. I don't know if you want to describe your background on everything.
Yeah, I mean I've been watching TSM since I think it was 2014 or 13 summer split when they had Amazing and Glebe Glarblue started the summer split and got traded out for Lustboy. So I've been watching for quite a long time. Been watching TSM troll and not troll that whole time, and lately they've been doing a bit too much trolling for my liking. So now we're Vietnam fans.
There you
all
go.
the way.
Giving into the dark side. 2017, you would be really sad to know that you got to this point.
Yeah, 2017 I thought we were gonna win Worlds, so kind
Was
of
it-
sad.
I thought it was 2016 that it was the year that they thought they stood a chance. Because 2017 was the year that Double Lift like didn't come back until summer, right?
Yeah, but I thought that was our best year because we got to MSI with Wild Turtle, and I was like, oh, these dudes are the best. I was like, this is the greatest team that ever happened. They can do this with Wild Turtle. They can do this with Double, and then they just lost anyways because they're a bunch of trolls.
Yeah, I feel
And
bad for
then,
you. But at least you have
yeah.
years of winning. I started in the LCS as a TSM fan back in 2017. Yeah, so end of 2016. 2016 Worlds was the first ever League of Legends event that I fully watched. Then 2017, I watched off and on and would cheer on TSM because they were really the only name that really rung a bell until Optic Gaming, the organization that I have been a fan of since 2013, finally joined the LCS. It was hype. It was a shitty 2 years in terms of results, but it was a great 2 years of just constantly feeling like the world sucked because our organization fell out from underneath our hands, and then the league team got sold to Immortals, and then the whole system crumbled. But luckily, somebody else from the Optic history was also in the LCS, and that was Nate Shot with 100 Thieves. So it was a very easy transition to very quickly adopt 100 Thieves as Optic got sold, because there was no way in hell I was cheering for Immortals. There was no chance of that. I can't stand a lot of things in that regard. But yeah, so 100 Thieves fan since 2020 solidly, but also been following them since the franchise era began. But I've also been tracking like stats and everything else for all the teams. So let me ask you this, Paul. How much do you know about the organization of NRG / GAM Esports?
Oh man, you had to throw in the game. I was gonna say I know all about NRG Santorin, baby, when they choked.
Wow,
No.
you're really gonna trigger like if we had any chance of picking up any like the old school NRG fans here, you just trolled the hell out of all of them.
Well, somebody has to let them know. But, this roster, all I know about is really Levi. I love Vietnam junglers who doesn't, because they all seem to be animals. And I read about their dominance, and I mean, they just win VCS, it seems a lot. So it kind of seems like they're just the best team there, and their AD carries is a prodigy, or as far as from what I understand, he's a prodigy because he's really young.
For
And
those that do not know, because I didn't know this either until I looked it up because I had not been really paying attention at all. GAM Esports, now also in partnership with NRG, went 13-1 in the spring split this past year. They play best of threes, so it is not like the LCS where it's best of ones, nor is it best of twos, which I don't. Does any other region still use best of twos, or is everybody now best of three or best of one?
no region I think that's important uses best of twos.
Okay, good. So yeah, 13-1 in best of threes, dropping a single game to Team Secret, who I think they're a North American organization as well that's also sponsoring a Vietnam team.
Yep.
And then they went into the playoffs and lost only a single game in the entirety of playoffs. To say that they are dominant in Vietnam is an understatement. They've been the representatives there for God knows how long. Like I think when it comes to Vietnam, I don't know if there's any other player that most Western fans would know other than Levi. Like he's got to be the only one, right?
Yeah, I mean Levi is like the big name guy, and he had that huge run with GAM back in the day, and then he goes to 100 Thieves, and 100 Thieves never really used him. So it's kind of unfortunate that year got wasted. But yeah, I would say he's the representation for any NA fan trying to figure out VCS.
To
He's your
round
guy.
out the rest of the roster for them, the top laner is Kiaya, which I might be saying these wrong, and I'm sure I will learn as I hear their names on stream for the first time this upcoming week. I think they started this week, by the way. I'm not 100%. They haven't released the schedule yet, unlike LCS and everywhere else. But their top laner is Kiaya. Jungle is obviously Levi. Mid is Kati or KT. I feel like it's an American saying Kati is Katie. Bot laner is Style. They actually just traded. Style is like the new prodigy ADC that Paul was talking about, who actually ended up replacing their former ADC. I think he actually got traded to BTS, which phenomenal clickbait, by the way. And their support lane their support laner is Bai. So I know none of these names other than Levi. I think that's it.
Yeah, they traded for Han K. Or I don't know if they traded, but they added him, and he's their sub now, support. So
Okay,
I don't
so
know if they intend to use him, but they did add him.
I can't imagine they would. Like it seems like their roster is very much just these five set in stone, and it really didn't seem like there were any other like moving pieces nor anything. Just in the little bit of research that I did, that would suggest of them going with like a 10-man roster, even like a 6 or 7-man.
Yep, I would say they're probably gonna just stick with the 5 if they were getting rid of that ADC for sure, because they seem all in on Style and Bay, or Bi. I don't know how to say his name.
Might be Bi, might be Bi. Well, what's gonna happen is the first game is gonna happen, and we're gonna be so far off with all the names, and we're gonna come back next week, and I can already see the clown TikTok in my head of just us pronouncing it absolutely wrong, and people making fun of us for being dumb Americans.
Yep, that's how it's gonna go for sure.
In terms of the other teams in the VCS right now, the first thing that actually surprised me was there are only 8 teams in Vietnam's league, which was shocking. I get that they're a minor region, but I honestly thought it would be 10. But I guess there's not enough talent across all of VCS for now, maybe, to not justify that. I don't know. Is there any other league that's 8 teams? Like Oceania obviously is now a circuit, but all the major regions are either 10 or in China's case like 20.
Yeah, I mean they're probably the only one, but they're not major yet, so maybe that's why.
Their player base is major though. Their player base is bigger
It
than North
is.
America,
Yep,
which is
that
insane.
is for certain.
I'm.
Yeah.
What's your initial reaction to if I were to say this? North America will fall behind Vietnam in the next 2 years.
Uh, I'd say it's definitely possible. I mean, I don't think it's impossible because North American teams and organizations are already going to Vietnam, so NA money is coming to Vietnam. So it's
Like
definitely a
the
possibility.
it's interesting because if you so you watched Double Lift's video, right? Or like you heard about what he was talking about with like ping
Yeah.
and this. Okay, every problem that North America has is technically solved in Vietnam, and they have the bigger player base.
Yeah.
It has to be a matter of time, right? Until they just take over. Like money is going to flood in there over time. Like it from the reports that I saw, NRG only paid like $300,000 or something like that for this entire team.
Yeah.
Like there's no way that North
Really?
American money just doesn't start flooding there. Because think about it, if you could pay $300,000, that's less than probably the worst player on Team Liquid's salary. So you're
Yeah.
paying that, you're going to Worlds, and you're getting the brand recognition, and you might knock out North America in the process. Why would you not?
Yeah, that's kind of sad when you put it that way. Okay. But yeah, that's so cheap. I didn't know they were only 300K. Like, that's less than what we're paying for ports.
Perks
So,
was over 5 times that alone.
yeah, yeah, that's kind of insane. I mean, they're probably gonna pass us then when you put it on that
They had
that
like
level.
the thing that I'd be worried about is in like 2 years if all of a sudden Levi's contract is worth like $10 million, and then it's like, oh no, the American venture capital money found its way over there. Now the problems are gonna resume for them. But maybe that
Yeah,
could be good. Maybe that could take the money away from LCS, drop the salaries here, and start feeding it there, and then we can truly fix our problems here.
I mean, true, we could. What is their time zone? So what time do they play their games
In
and all
terms of
that?
Eastern Standard Time, they do 2 best-of-3s every Friday,
Okay.
Saturday, Sunday. So you'll have a game at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time and a game at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So
Oh,
it's
that's not bad.
no, it's better than I thought it was gonna be. I was expecting like 4 and 6 a.m. Maybe you wake up and catch like the last game of the second best-of-3.
Yeah. I mean, if you're getting early games like that, I mean they'll have to fight with LEC, I guess, for the second best of three. But that's kind of nice because now you're looking at people, NA fans, learning their times there, which isn't too bad.
So in
But
terms of Eastern Time, LEC I believe starts at 11. So
oh,
then you
then yeah, we're
have
good.
yeah, you'll have a clear transition of now if there's like say, GAM and Secret go to game 3, then yeah, you likely cut into like that first game of LEC. But there is definitely that perpetual window where NA fans could wake up in the morning, watch NRG if they play at 9 o'clock, which I'm assuming they will probably do given that, you now have a portion of the Western audience watching Vietnam. So you try and put NRG/GAM as late as possible to try and fill that window. The same way they do with like Fnatic for the LAC. You put them in prime time every time.
Yep.
So then you could roll that directly into the LEC, which rolls directly into the LCS. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you have nonstop league all day as a Western fan.
Yeah, that'll be kind of nice. I mean, that'll be literally all day. It's like football almost, except you get 3 days of it instead of one.
Instead of one day to cry your eyes out as a Colts fan.
Okay. Well, Carson Wentz is taking us to the Super Bowl. So
Yeah,
I don't know
okay.
about that.
Carson Wentz is going to take you to the fourth quarter of the first game and get hurt.
Nah. Well, that's why we have Sammy Ellinger back there, pal.
I don't even know who
The
that is.
Texas Wonder.
I don't even know who
Oh.
that is.
It's a Texas player. You'll know him when he wins the Super Bowl. Don't worry.
Yeah, and people will know Spica when TSM wins Worlds. Now that we're done talking in hypotheticals that are never going to happen.
What? TSM's making a change.
Okay, I got one final question on VCS for now. This is fairly light
Okay.
on Vietnam for the time being because we don't know as much. Like, we will talk more once the games happen. What is your prediction for GAM? Is it smash the entire, without knowing anything, is it smash the entire season, go to Worlds, and drop out of groups? Or do they make knockouts?
I mean, from what I've read about them and the games I've watched, it seems like every Vietnam team is they're not too slow, so I respect that. They seem to play the game decently fast. And Gambit, they're playing with a I don't know if he's a rookie ADC or what, but they're playing with what seems like a pretty young team, so they should have a lot of developmental time. And they already won once, so I think they'll win Vietnam again at least, because I didn't read that any Vietnam teams made huge changes. And then I'm also kind of worried though about Worlds, because none of them in Vietnam have been to any World tournament for the past 2. So that's not really great for my
that definitely
predictions, or
hurts.
at least gives me nothing to go off of. Like, I can't just sit there and say, oh yeah, they're gonna win, because they have international success from 2019. So that gives them a chance. I have no idea yet. And they didn't even do that great 2019.
So to
we'll
add
have to
context to Style, he is a fairly fresh talent. He's 19 years old, native to Vietnam. I don't think importing is ever really a thing in Vietnam, if I'm not mistaken. If it happens, it's very rare. His first split of playing somewhat professional was like the Vietnam B League. He played on SGD. He finished second. They did not get their promotion to the VCS. They lost. Then he plays in the Pulsefire Cup, which I think might be like maybe like an off-season tournament or something like that in 2020. I think that was like their replacement for MSI. They had some sort of tournament there. They actually finished second to GAM Esports, but he was traded to the Saigon Buffalo. So then he played with them in the summer of 2020 as well, finished 7th with that roster, and then got traded to GAM, and they have won ever since. So they won spring regular season and spring playoffs as well. So definitely younger talent that has just been climbing his way up the ranks.
Yep. It gives me a lot of hope that maybe they could have a great team by 2022, but I don't even want to say that with League, because we know how League is.
Yeah.
Teams like to blow up rosters at any chance they get. So,
speaking of that, that's a good transition. That's a great way to start talking about LCS. What the hell is going on with Cloud9?
I have no idea. Is King good? Like, is King better than I've been noticing? Because I feel like King is just okay. I don't know. Is he some insane ADC? He's not that crazy. I'm not getting rid of Sven for him, at least. And why Sven the problem? That's my question. Who thinks Sven is the problem? I mean,
see, here's my okay. Sven was definitely not the problem. Sven was arguably one of the stronger points when it came to their run at MSI. Despite obviously the bad result, Sven notably played well in both the group stage and the the Rumble stage. The terminology on that is terrible for MSI this year.
yes.
I'm not sold on this change, and maybe it's age gating. Maybe, I'm not sure, but I don't know if you know this, but King is older than Sven.
Huh.
He's 6 months older than Sven. So yes,
Okay.
he's a newer talent out of Australia, but in terms of your window, like, it's not like it's a Blaver where you're getting somebody like fresh out of high school and they're going to develop into a prodigy talent that, you know, just takes them into the promised land. Like, when you look at somebody like Fudge, for example, and I'm trying to pull this up so I don't speak out of my ass here. Fudge is 19, comes over straight from Oceania, gets promoted fairly quick, goes from Mammoth to Cloud9 Academy in December of last year. So he plays 1 year in Academy and gets instantly promoted to LCS. but he's only 19. So he spent his when he was 18, he played his 1 year in academy, and he's in. He's got 4 years before he hits the point where King is. And I get most LCS players don't have the longevity in their careers to really last that long, but I feel like this is temporary. Like, I feel like you put King in, and they will have no problem replacing him sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I don't understand the move at all, because I mean, first off, it makes no sense to have King on your academy team, if I'm being honest. But that's a whole nother argument for another day. But
Yeah.
I don't get why he's coming in to replace Sven when Sven at MSI was honestly their one okay point. Their bottom lane wasn't trolling the whole tournament, and it did feel like Blabber was. Now, I do understand a lot of people are right now. All I see on Twitter is the argument that, well, you can't get rid of Blabber because you need some native talent on your team, and he's the best native talent they have, and he's an MVP. But maybe there's a time where he stops choking at big events, and maybe that comes. But for now, it seems like they're trying to band-aid a situation in the wrong role, and I don't understand why you'd be doing it. I can't fathom how it's supposed to work out. My only guess is that Sven had to have said something, and I don't want to put us in a drama field, like at the very start of this thing, but I am worried that he had to have said something. Like, because I just know, as anyone who's competitive, there had to have been some moment where he went, "What are you doing up there?" That's what he probably said.
So what you're saying is he pulled a self-made and was toxic.
Yeah, he said something toxic, and it made them mad, and they were like, well, we can't get rid of our MVP, so you're benched. You know what? Until you stop making us mad, you're benched. And we'll see what happens.
I would buy into that if it weren't for the fact that we have a clear indication that Cloud9 is not scared to bench phenomenal talent. Like, they benched Jensen, Sneaky was performing, but Jensen, Sneaky, and I forget who their support was, so they put Zazel in for the time being.
Yeah.
Like, they do not.
Back then?
It might have been. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was Smoothie. But they have no problem doing that. So it would, if Cloud9 announced tomorrow that they picked up some massive, because now you're freeing up an import spot in ADC. If they announce tomorrow that they're picking up some massive upgrade, or not upgrade, but some massive change to the jungle and like benching Blabber, I would not be surprised at all. Like, it wouldn't. I would look at it and be like, yeah, okay. You know, I could see them making that move. Any other team, yeah, no, I don't think they'd ever take a chance at replacing Blabber. At least not anytime soon. But yeah, I could see Cloud9 doing it. So like the argument that like them replacing Sven because he said something dumb, I agree to a certain extent. The point was also brought up on Twitter that maybe it's salary related. Like, maybe you're able to cut a lot of costs if you're able to drop the salary potentially. I don't know how the inner workings of that work, but that was who was it? He's with that was Hawk from NRG, and he used to work in the LCS, so he knows more about like the inner workings of that than I do. So he may have a point there, but I don't know. Nevertheless, how do you think this changes Cloud9's outlook? Same spot? Like, do they make it out of groups at Worlds? Do they not make it to groups now?
I mean, it's the same for me. Like, I don't think this makes them any better or any worse. I think it's the same exact team. And as far as NA goes, like LCS, it's the same as always. I mean, they might win, they might not. I don't think any team in LCS is really insanely good or is immune to losing a best of 5 at any given day. So I don't really see how this changes them at all. Maybe King is about to have the most insane performance ever, but the way I feel like it is they're panicking that they're doing that thing again where they like start to decline in summer, and for some reason they think this is gonna fix it, and I hope it does for their sake, but I don't really see how it helps at all, and I don't think King is that insanely good. He's been doing pretty good in Academy, and that doesn't really say much for NA.
Yeah. So the other notable roster change this offseason would be Abadage coming in for Demonte and Ryoma. I gotta let the dogs out of my room real quick. But
Okay.
what do you think? Like that, like this is the other team that has now made a roster change that's pretty significant mid-season when they kind of hit that decline. But is this different than Cloud9?
Yeah, I think I would say for 100 Thieves, definitely this is a lot better of a move. I mean, if you're trying to make a move that is going to actually affect your team, they clearly upgraded in a role. So a clear upgrade is just better to me than anything else you could do. I mean, they didn't get worse with Abadage, and they're... I mean, I don't know what they're doing with coaching staff. Oh no, yeah, they got Reapered.
They got Reapered as
so
well.
So yeah, they're clearly better. I mean, they have Reapered, they have Abadage, and now I'm just interested to see what is going on someday. And is their bot lane gonna quit trolling team fights? Because right now their bot lane kingdoms everybody, and then like randomly in the team fight acts like they forgot how to play the game, and FBI flashes forward for no reason at some point every game.
It
If
was
they can fix
painful
those
watching that.
things, oh yeah, yeah, he's been like straight up. I mean, almost every single playoffs, you can look to a game where he changed the series by flashing forward. Not great.
It's the Wild Turtle syndrome.
It is. Except Wild Turtle is on like a... I don't know. I feel like Wild Turtle was winning a lot though back in the day.
Oh
Or
yeah.
at least he was getting to finals. So like Wild Turtle, like if you're gonna flash forward, you definitely have to be good. Like insanely good at team fighting if you're gonna flash forward. Or you have to have Yerksen standing behind you fixing it. So one of those two things.
It's one of those things where, like, I think back to MSI, and there was the Gala play bot lane, where he Kaisa ults in, flashes to get an auto on Morgana, and is willing to sacrifice his GA, and then is able to E out, and his team's able to follow up on it. It's like, I don't mind FBI going in and flashing in like that and being aggro, but nobody on his team is at the same pace to the point where they can catch up. Like the difference between those two scenarios is not the ADC, it's everybody else around him. If the ADC is gonna do stuff like that, you have to be willing to follow him. And it's gonna feel insane for NA. Like it's gonna feel like everybody turned their brains off, but the reality is they're turning their brains just, up a few IQ points. But yeah. I agree with you. I'm happy they got Abadage, because if we're being honest, Ryoma and Demonte were liabilities for both of them. Like neither one of them were playing great. Neither one of them could play any particular style good enough to the point where it was worth continuing at all. If there was any possibility of them upgrading mid lane, nobody would have questioned it if they did. They were able to pull that off, great. But I still think the biggest difference for 100 Thieves going into this year, or this split, is getting rid of Ziggs as a coach. By all means, the guy seems nice. I don't have anything against him other than his drafts. It just felt like we were never able to outdraft anybody on a consistent basis. All of our drafts were very plain. I understand our players were limited. That's fine. But you still have to try things. And it felt like we never did. So if Reaper coming in is going to be that difference, which I feel like it would be, even though everybody is questionable of him when it comes to best of 5 drafts, especially in the postseason, he can get a little bit too down the rabbit hole with it. I'm fine with it. Like, I think these two changes solidify 100 Thieves. I know this is going to piss you off. I think it solidifies them as the 3rd best team in North America with a ceiling to potentially win it all, if they are clicking in the right way. In the same way that I'll give full credit, if TSM clicks and Cloud9 and TL have off days, they could also pull this off as well. Like I truly have confidence that the top 4 in North America are not all that different. TSM is going to be a little bit harder to get everybody to mesh, and that's clearly been a problem that we saw in spring. I don't know what they have to do to get their cohesion to be a little bit better. The stylistic mismatches between like Spica, PoE, and Huni are just extreme. But if it does click, I can see them going far. If 100 Thieves clicks, I can see them going far. Cloud9 and TL, realistically, we know their ceiling already. I don't see either of those two teams going way far above and beyond unless King truly is something different. But what's your thoughts on TSM? Like, would you put 100 Thieves at third now, being realistic, over TSM, or is TSM still your solid 3 to go to Worlds?
I don't think there's any solid 4 or 3 like out of the top 4. I mean, there's any of them could not make Worlds in my mind, because TL is probably the best coached and the best thinking team, but I do not see TL as this unpenetrable force. Like, they are not going to be their ceiling isn't really insane, to be honest, because Alfari is really good, but the rest of them are definitely not these insane mechanically driven players that are unstoppable. Santorin is really good though at his role, but I mean, jungler doesn't seem to be a problem in the top 4 teams.
Yeah.
Other than 100 Thieves, maybe has the weakest jungler, but that's a tie with TSM. I mean,
But I would say
Cloud9
with that, you also, the element that I didn't bring up is you do have Tenacity and Kenvi that are just, they're on that borderline that if closer does become a liability, you can slot Kenvi in like that and make a difference instantly.
Do you think Kenvi is enough to beat TSM?
If you sub him in for a single series, no. If you give him a few weeks, yes. I think he is better than Spica in terms of raw mechanics and aggression, and I could easily see it happening. But you need, like, I honestly feel like when Kenvi gets a chance in the LCS, he will be an equivalent skill to what Blabber is right now. Whether he chokes or not internationally is a different story, but I really have a lot of faith in Kenvi as a jungler after watching 2 full years of him now across 100 Thieves Next and Academy.
I mean, that's a pretty big thing to say, because I feel like Speak is considered the best player on TSM right now.
Yeah.
And he's like really good, in my opinion. I actually think he's a top NA jungler if he has a good enough team.
Agreed.
Like, at any moment.
Agreed.
So that's huge. I just think that's like big praise. I actually do think jungle in NA, like, legitimately the top 4 jungles are pretty good. Like, I actually think they're pretty sound when you compare them across regions and stuff like that. I don't think they're that bad. I definitely think we're held back most by just our I don't even know what, to be honest. I mean, our bot lanes are not pretty, and our top laners are kind of meh. Although
here's what I'll disagree with you on that, because our bot lane stood up very well at MSI. And realistically, I don't think Sven and Vulcan is even the best bot lane that we have. Realistically, Sword Art and TSM's bot lane I would put solidly at 4th, but I would honestly put FBI and Huhi above Cloud9's bot lane up until the 20-minute mark. I would safely put Tactical and Core JJ above Sven and Vulcan.
Yep.
I think we're fine in bot lane. I really do. I still, like, even though, like, we're excited about our junglers in North America, the problem is our junglers don't translate internationally.
No,
they never have. And that's the biggest, in my opinion, that's the biggest issue. Well, that and mid lane. Mid lane's also rather yikes.
I mean, the best one last year was like Spica and literally the rest of that team. Well, no, Broken Blade and Spica were actually the only 2 not trolling.
The 9-man sleep.
Yeah, the 9-man sleep. Broken Blade getting solo kills in top lane while bot lane is just getting repeatedly 2v2'd. Was kind of depressing when that's supposed to be your best player and is allegedly a, like, whatever it is, 9-time LCS championship, who knows? Double lift. Like, I don't know, that was kind of tough to watch. That's why I just don't really get what to do with NA, because it's like the top 4 teams, I feel like I could sit down, look at every single top 4 team, and make a solid case why I think all 4 of them could win.
Yeah.
And my biggest thing with Cloud9 is the reason I can see a decline is because they do decline. I don't even need to, like, yeah, every year they decline. And this year doesn't seem to be any different. They don't know how to end a game. I mean, that was their biggest problem at MSI. And if other teams can figure out how to end a game, and all of a sudden Cloud9 can't just sit there and out mechanics check everyone, that's going to be an issue. And especially subbing in King, if you're not winning every lane, that could be really bad. Like, really bad for them.
To put that in perspective, here's Cloud9's weekend. I don't know if you've looked at the schedule at all, but
no, I've seen TSM, so I'm not gonna lie, kind of a homer. But
Cloud9 plays Golden Guardians on Friday.
okay.
Then they have 100 Thieves and Team Liquid. So they're not getting a break at all after MSI. They're getting thrown right into it. And if I recall correctly, the standings for the LCS were very close because your record does now roll forward.
Mm-hmm.
So your spring standings do matter. Yeah, so Cloud9, why did they reset it? Google needs to fix their thing because they reset the records all the way through. Okay, so Cloud9 is 13-5. TSM and TL both have 12 wins. Dignitas and 100 Thieves are sitting at 11, with Evil Geniuses at 10. Wow, the spring standings were really that close, weren't they? Wow.
Yeah, I mean, the only team that's down there is
good old Golden Guardians at 3-15.
Not looking good, Hunter. Maybe you need to quit tweeting.
Oh god.
Weird. Notice
man.
that. Weird.
Oh god, Paul. You're killing us. I love it though. But okay. So Cloud9 has 2 really tough games. They could relinquish first place by the end of this weekend already.
Yeah, they could. I mean, they realistically could. And 100 Thieves doesn't have a long way to go to get there. That's one bad weekend and one good weekend from first to fourth.
Okay, so again, for people that don't know, this is a triple round robin. There are going to be more games played in summer than there ever have been in the LCS. Mm-hmm. So there's a long way to go here. But starting off at the top of the poll really helps. It's like horse racing. If you watch the Kentucky Derby, it is so much easier if you're in that 1 or 2 spot to just either hold on or just wait till the end and keep it going than it is to mount a massive comeback. So if they can start out hot and TL or 100 Thieves jump up to first and can somehow maintain that, that's big. Because I think you have to get these wins over Cloud9 early. Because assuming they ramp up, assuming the MSI rust falls off. Because actually, that's a good question. Do you think Cloud9 is going to be weaker off the jump or stronger because of MSI?
That's what I was about to say. I think they're going to be better now than they will be later. I'm excited for the burnout excuse. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm waiting for them to start losing a few games and go, man, we're just so burned out from all this losing at MSI, and do this in their chair and sit there. Because that's what happens every year. But they'll probably sit there. I think they'll be fine coming out the gate because honestly, don't want to admit it, but Fudge looks kind of disgusting.
He does.
The Fudge factor is a real thing. And they aren't a terrible team. I mean, even with King, they seem like they'll be fine. So I don't see how they lose to GGS. I mean, they'd have to go blind to lose that game. And the problem is their next 2 games are not easy. I mean, they have to hope that 100 Thieves just hasn't meshed yet, and maybe they could sneak that game.
Yeah.
But Team Liquid might stomp them because
I could easily see them stomping them.
Now I'm interested though how Team Liquid looks, because the meta's kind of moving more fast-paced.
Yeah.
And I don't know how fast-paced Team Liquid is.
I think they can be. The problem with Team Liquid, unlike most other teams, it seems like, is Team Liquid more than anybody just falls back on their laurels. In the situation where they start crumbling a little bit or they go behind, it's just pick scaling, pick wombo combo. Like it's they don't have, at least from the outside in, they don't have that ability to just stay resilient and say, nah, we like this play style. we're going to be able to adapt that play style within a series or within a weekend of games and be perfectly fine.
Yep.
The thing I want to see more than anything, and I don't think it's going to come out of Alfari because I just don't think he's that type of player. I do not want to see Blabber get MVP. I don't. I want to see teams start figuring him out. Like, we're getting to that point where it's like, a new offensive coordinator comes in the NFL. Somebody introduces some new scheme that nobody's seen before. It's really unique, and it takes the team all the way to the Super Bowl or even wins it. And the next year, it's working for half the season, and then all of a sudden, teams figure it out. They find the defensive scheme that works against it. They know how to counter it on offense in some capacity, and you figure it out, and all of a sudden, it's done. I do not want to see Blabber keep getting away with the shit that he does in LCS. I want to see him get punished. It will be better for Blabber. It will be better for the LCS as a whole if people can finally figure this guy out. It's clearly not hard, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
He plays those so much different in LCS.
He
Like,
does.
if you turn off name tags, go watch MSI and then watch LCS, you wouldn't know it's him. I mean, because what he's doing doesn't make any sense. Like, it's really inty. And I'm just not sure what happens this season. Now, I've heard a lot of people say, and I've watched it and I've seen it, but I think it's very true that when things go wrong, Blabber doesn't seem to know what to do.
Yeah.
So if Cloud9 isn't winning every lane, he does seem to lose an identity, and when he's panicked, he is not that good. Like, he's not bad, he's a challenger player, he's a pro, he's an MVP, but he is very ugly behind. Very ugly. And hopefully teams can do what you said and punish him. I just don't know if they're willing to. A lot of that's why I'm excited for guys like... that's why I think TSM could maybe make a push to actually get something, is because Spica could punish him. Santorin for sure. Like TL, they could be absolutely nasty if Blabber falls
TL
off.
is so coordinated in the early game that they should be able to absolutely smash Blabber. If they truly want to invest the resources into it, they could 100% just put him behind so far. Like, stop banning his champions, just learn how to path them. Like, that's exactly what happened at MSI. It's not like they banned any of his champions. They just knew what he was going to do and beat him to it every time.
And teams, like, I guess it's just calling out mid laners, but like, maybe stop letting Perks just stomp you in lane for once, and watch MSI and look at them. If you want to win anything, like, at some point you're just gonna have to be decent at the game. You get paid enough to do it in NA. Like, just do something. I'm tired of them all getting bodied and then being like, oh man, Cloud9 is just such a good team.
We'll improve and get them next time.
Yeah, we'll get them next time. Like, those tweets are so boring. Like, I get they have to tweet them because it makes them feel good and it makes fans feel good, but like, be better. I don't know. Find a champ that can actually play into him well. Draft well. I mean, if you know you're going to get bodied by Perks and you suck at playing against him, then you know what? Maybe it's time to look at your team in the face and be honest and put yourself on Soraka duty. Okay?
Yep.
Be honest. Just
give me the Soraka mids. Just admit defeat.
Yeah. And they gave you a way to win the game. Like, they literally just play Soraka, have your jungler absolutely destroy their bottom lane, because I don't think King is that good, IMO. I will eat these words if he is good, but I don't think he's that good. And I would love to watch him just play the bot side and let their AC fly.
Yeah.
Just let him be a man. But
we'll see.
I don't know. I don't
5
see it
days and we'll see.
Yeah, I still think Cloud9, I don't know. I want to say they win, but at the same time, they just have this it factor of losing in summer.
Yeah.
I'm like worried to even pick a team because that top 4 I think is so good. I actually think LCS is in a good spot for branding if they want to like actually push out some good content this year. Do I think they do it? No, because they're a bunch of stooges. But they have a good setup. Great setup.
I have faith in the staff on LCS now. Like, I really do. I think like Mark Z, Emily, and
yeah.
a few of the other additions that they have, they can be creative. They can put out some really interesting stuff. Like, I know I mentioned this previously, but the last piece of content that the LCS put out that was like memey and just kind of like entertainment was the TSM Jat skit back in 2019 spring. It's been way too long since they've done anything like that. You have the personnel to do it now. Do it. Find a way to just put all this. You don't have to make songs like the LEC. You're not at that point of cohesion yet that you can probably hit that creative process. But you can do some dumb shit that makes it really entertaining. And I truly do have faith that the people will do it. But COVID has obviously screwed us as a region more than anybody else. But we are now the most vaccinated region. Things are opening back up. No mask mandates, no social distancing. There's zero excuse now. This is the split. If they're going to do it, it has to be now, or it's never going to happen.
That's true. I mean, that's true. If it doesn't, it's gonna be a really tough summer to watch because honestly, I miss the fans, like the chants. I have to be. I know I'm biased to it because TSM gets good chants, but like the chants are what makes it. And there's something about like being a TSM fan that it's kind of great to listen to the fans that chant for TSM and chant against them. Kind of what makes it. There's no fun in being the villain if there's nobody to make fun of you. Kind of
Agreed.
ruins the whole thing. So if we can get the fans back, that'd be sick. And then also just the banter of the LCS desk, it definitely has to go up. I mean, if they get back in studio and they're not making those meme videos like you talked about, and they're not doing anything to be funny, it's gonna hurt really bad.
Yeah.
Because it's already hard to watch LCS as it is. So.
Well, speaking of the better Western region at the moment,
Oh.
we'll wrap it up with some LEC talk. And when I posted these topics 2 days ago, all of the drama hadn't even fully hit yet. We knew that Whippo was going to be the jungler for Fnatic, but we didn't know half the changes that were happening with Treats now becoming the jungler. And okay, is this Europe panicking after Mad Lions goes to MSI and doesn't make finals? Like, is this the region just panicking? Like, are they lost all of a sudden? Or is this like, it feels like they're hitting their midlife crisis in a way.
I don't want to say it, but this is gonna be a really weird thing to go off of. But I kind of think I think money's not running well in there. Cause it seems like, I mean, when you got Schalke 4 selling off, and then you have all these teams not going and buying jungles, but role swapping supports and top laners to jungle, and trying to do stuff. It's either exactly what you said. It's a midlife crisis, or it has to be something financially that they're all dumping these jungles for these cheap top laners and supports and amateurs. Because if they're not, then I don't really get what they're doing. Are they just like messing around and trolling? Like, there's better junglers out there. How's Selfmade not get a team?
That's what I'm first and foremost, I have to throw out Schalke in terms of the argument because that is purely due to their football club being relegated. So that they're a little bit different.
That's true.
And I'll exclude them for the sake of argument. But yeah, like I don't get it. Like Whippo jungle somewhat makes sense because he's been jungling, I think it was for the last 3 years. He's been jungling as a flex player in team scrims and a bunch of other stuff. Like, he's been playing the role for an extended period of time. And when you look at him play, it looks like a jungler in top lane. So like, even though there are probably better junglers out there right now in terms of raw mechanical skill, there is a clear path in watching Whippo that you can say, yeah, I could see him becoming a good jungle. And he also matches well with Hylissang and the Fnatic playstyle to the point where, yeah, I get their move to a certain extent. The Treats move makes no sense to me whatsoever. Like, I agree with you. Maybe it's money. Like, I don't know. Like, why would you not? But even then, if you wanted to save money, couldn't you just pick up a EU Masters jungler? Are there really no options out there that you're role swapping people? Or is like the caliber really that high? I mean, we'll obviously be able to see whenever these get tested out. If Treats just get ass blasted in the first 2 weeks, then yeah, he'll be swapped out like that. But I don't get it either.
Yeah, I mean, it just seems like at this point there has to be an answer. Obviously, we're never gonna get it because we can't get back in there. But I just do not buy that this is Fnatic trying to win and get to Worlds. Like, cause putting in a rookie top laner in Summer Split does not putting a rookie player in Summer Split does not historically do great things. Usually, it's usually a team mailing it in when they start
Yeah.
trying out the rookies in summer. So I don't see how this is them saying, "Oh man, we're putting the best roster we could find together, and we're gonna take down G2 and Mad Lions." Like, cause do you really think your rookie is gonna body Wonder up there? I mean, maybe this kid does. Maybe he bodies Wonder, and he bodies Armut and Odawame, but I don't know if I'm convinced.
So
And then if you're really trying to win, why not go buy Broken Blade? To be honest,
true.
he was performing on a cheap team that's selling off everybody. So
My question to you would then be to wrap all this up because we're coming up on top of the hour, and I do want to
okay.
try. I do want to try to keep this around an hour because I feel like that's a digestible length. Uh, the standings as of the end of spring were Mad Lions barely at 1 over Rogue, Rogue at 2, G2 at a very clear 3rd, Schalke 04 at 4th, and Fnatic at 5th. Do you see the standings changing at all? Or do you think, because LEC has 3 teams, is it going to be just another combination of Rogue, Mad Lions, and G2?
Yeah, Rogue, Mad Lions, G2 stay up there. Schalke probably falls to the wayside. I'd assume they have
With
no money.
Abadage gone, yeah.
Yeah, Abadage gone, Gilius gone. I mean, that was what they were winning off of a lot of games. Don't really know where SK goes because I don't know what they're doing. It doesn't make any sense. And the rest of the teams don't matter because they're all broke and they all stink. Just gonna say that. Sorry, Europe. But
Oh jeez, you're gonna make every European fan hate us. Wow.
how? How?
Well,
I didn't make fun of the other 3.
look, I agree with your standings. I think G2 possibly rebounds a little bit, but it depends on how Yankos does because Yankos was so far behind the meta last split.
Yeah.
He just couldn't catch up. So if he does, I can see G2 rebounding and possibly finishing 2nd. I would not put G2 yet above Mad Lions or Rogue. I don't feel confident doing so. Rapid fire questions to wrap it out. Does anybody outside of Damwon Kia from the LCK make it out of group stage of Worlds?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
T1's gonna do some role swapping, I bet.
Okay.
Or not role swapping, like they're gonna do player swapping.
And then
Make it.
final 2 questions. Is there anybody you have your eye on in the LPL?
I mean, yeah, just watch the whole thing. Like, watch the top 10. Because the top 10 honestly could come to your region and take your top 10 out. Like,
Yeah.
go watch LPL. Like, just watch highlights of LPL. That's all I ask.
Agreed. And then if the LPL has 4 teams at Worlds, if all 4 have quarterfinals matchups against non-LPL teams, will we have an entire top 4 of LPL at Worlds? The odds of those matchups happening are very slim to none, but say they all get first seed. Would you take all the top?
Because I take the top 3. I like the top 3 LPL teams. I actually do think there's a clear gap between the top 3 LPL teams and the 4th. Like, I think Fun plus Phoenix and RNG are really, really good, and nobody can truly destroy them. I think everyone under them has clear weaknesses that can be beat by either Korea's best teams or EU's best teams. At least. I think Mad Lions could take the 3rd place LPL team.
Yeah.
And I think Damwon is way too good. Showmaker ain't getting beat by nobody. Don't care. That man ain't losing. till he gets back to Worlds Finals. Let's be
Oh boy.
honest.
I
He's a dog.
I'm excited for all of it. As Paul said,
Yeah.
go like the whole point of this podcast is to cross over into other regions. For us, it's the VCS. For you, it might be the LPL. Just go
Yeah.
watch Global League of Legends. It's a blast. You will enjoy it. I promise. Any closing final words, Paul?
Yeah, I forgot to say the reason the LPL won't get 4 teams through is because Vietnam, baby, we're making top 4.
Okay.
So who cares? Who cares? Levi ain't losing to nobody,
Gam
and the
to
rest of them,
Game
have
to the top
names.
4 worlds. I like
Yeah.
that. Okay, that's that our play for the entire that's the whole narrative is top 4
Yeah.
worlds.
GAM is the top 4 worlds team. You've heard it here first.
Oh god, we're gonna get flamed so hard. But I love it.
We're not gonna get flamed. We're gonna be called prophets when they win.
Okay, I'm holding you to that. GAM
Yeah.
is going to finish top 4 at Worlds over the LPL and possibly LCK. You heard it here first on the Crossover podcast. My final thought is that Paul is out of his damn mind, but I love it. I love every bit of Paul's fandom. It's more extreme than I could ever be, and I love it. But
True. I mean, hey, maybe they're gonna win it all. It's not my fault.
thank you so much to everybody for tuning in. We'll be back every Sunday on Twitch, likely at a later time, probably 9 or 10 p.m. But I'll always tweet it out. Both of our Twitters are linked below. D Shynock for me, 23 Tar Heels 50 for Paul. Catch us at the same time next week. VODs will be available on YouTube on Mondays. But thank you everybody for tuning in. We'll catch you next time. Adios.
Bye.